Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
So let's dispense right now with any polite notion or talking point which seeks to minimize the magnitude of these last 4 years. On that single point, the left and right agree, but that is where the full hard stop comes in. Of course, one side viewed Trump as evil incarnate and consider the man and his administration both a fluke and a vile chapter in American history that should finally close with his prosecution and a purge of all who dared support him. In the starkest contrast imaginable, many or most of those who supported Trump's reelection believe the nation has been robbed of one of its greatest presidents. And yes, some of them would even say he belongs on Mount Rushmore. Welcome to the divided states of America. But facts are stubborn things, unbending, unyielding at every turn. So a truly objective examination of the actual record of the presidency of Donald Trump, free of the media's endemic bias, leaves one with two immediate responses. First, awe at the breadth of reform promised and delivered. And second, wonder at how he was able to get it all done while under constant investigation every single day of his one term in office. The 45th president, ever the businessman and showman, proposed a wildly ambitious agenda and pursued it with reckless abandon, sparing none who stood in his way. He presided over the country as if the clock was ticking and he'd have precious little time to fulfill his lengthy and brazen agenda. Few believed it could all be done. Many believed almost none of it could be done. But in his farewell address to the nation the day before leaving office, Trump said that as far as he's concerned, he came, he saw, he conquered.
We did what we came here to do, and so much more. 4 years ago, I came to Washington as the only true outsider ever to win the presidency. I had not spent my career as a politician, but as a builder looking at open skylines and imagining infinite possibilities. I ran for president because I knew there were towering new summits for America just waiting to be scaled. I knew the potential for our nation was boundless as long as we put America first.
And that he did, from the southern border to the hallowed halls of NATO to the ISIS caliphate to North Korea. And consider the border wall for a moment. It will forever stand, literally and figuratively, as a signature accomplishment of that man, but also the single most instructive example of what he was able to accomplish through the sheer force of will. Think of what he was up against. He was called every name in the book by the open border left, bitterly opposed at every turn, and had scant support even among Republicans in Congress, fearful of the racist label, one which, of course, has lost its meaning from overuse on Trump and all who would support him. And yet, as he leaves the White House, an impressive 452 miles of that wall have been built, almost half of the full project. Trump came roaring out of the starting gate 4 years ago, a man on a mission, a speed horse, unconcerned with distance, intent on actually accomplishing things considered untouchable by conventional politicians. And he succeeded on a grand scale, unbeknownst to those tuned into the blackout-minded elite media.
I left behind my former life and stepped into a very difficult arena, but an arena nevertheless with all sorts of potential if properly done. America had given me so much, and I wanted to give something back. Together with millions of hardworking patriots across this land, we built the greatest political movement in the history of our country. We also built the greatest economy in the history of the world. It was about America first because we all wanted to make America great again. We restored the principle that a nation exists to serve its citizens. Our agenda was not about right or left. It wasn't about Republican or Democrat, but about the good of a nation.
So the list of ways Trump made a lasting difference is long. a flurry of Mideast peace treaties after finally moving our embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, repatriation, bringing home profits held overseas, new and improved trade deals, de-escalation of long-running foreign conflicts, accountability for our NATO allies, a radically different approach to North Korea. The CEO president knitted those populist nationalist initiatives together with the universal conservative principles of lower taxes achieved in his second year and less regulation. In fact, he promised that 2 regulations would be eliminated for every new one imposed, and it turned out to be more like 10 to 1. Deregulation on a massive scale.
We reignited America's job creation and achieved record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women, almost everyone. Income soared, wages boomed, the American dream was restored, and millions were lifted from poverty in just a few short years.
From day one, Trump sent forth the unmistakable message that America was back, better than ever, and once again open for business. And this led to his greatest accomplishments: genuine energy independence, a goal long articulated in the empty rhetoric of career politicians, and a roaring economy with full employment until the pandemic brought Trump and the country low.
We passed the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. We slashed more job-killing regulations than any administration had ever done before. We fixed our broken trade deals, withdrew from the horrible Trans-Pacific Partnership and the impossible Paris Climate Accord, renegotiated the one-sided South Korea deal, and we replaced NAFTA with the groundbreaking USMCA. That's Mexico and Canada, a deal that's worked out very, very well. Also, and very importantly, we imposed historic and monumental tariffs on China, made a great new deal with China. But before the ink was even dry, we and the whole world got hit with the China virus.
And that was that. And Trump was never the same when the virus hit, fighting a losing battle against a deadly virus. But lest we forget, Trump's impact on the federal judiciary is certain to be felt for years or decades to come, while pushing through 3 conservative justices under duress and creating a constitutionalist majority on the high court for perhaps a generation or more. He also named lower court judges at record speed, filling some 280 vacancies, roughly a third of the federal judiciary, all in one drama-filled term. His one-man crusade against the world, fought with precious few allies in his foxhole, was finally derailed despite the widely held belief that the victory of his opponent was illegitimate. In the end, the presidency of Donald J. Trump seemed destined to end in turmoil just as it began. He'll be viewed as the force of nature who planned and executed the most radical and successful frontal assault on the status quo in modern American history. He's a man with no historic parallel. And as we bid him farewell as president, we carry with us a deeply sobering lesson learned over these last 4 years, one we shall never forget. When one man dares to threaten the established order, he does so at his own great peril. But as he prepared to return to life as a private citizen, Trump delivered one final promise.
I want you to know that the movement we started is only just beginning. There's never been anything like it. The belief that a nation must serve its citizens will not dwindle, but instead only grow stronger by the day.
And exactly what that means is anyone's guess. But the Donald is back in his familiar surroundings at Mar-a-Lago, trying to figure that out as we speak.
Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza, and this is Liberty Nation.
Let's take a look at the LibertyNation.com electoral leaderboard. It's still 238 for Joe Biden.
What if stories and legends can offer us the key to unraveling the hottest political issues of the day and apply their lessons to understanding the chaos of modern politics?
Impeach 45!
Only where freedom of speech is honored can people who look, sound, or think differently be truly free.
If you're discussing something that's difficult, the probability that you're not going to offend each other is zero.
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump is now president.
With one click, Liberty Nation delivers tomorrow's news.
And remember, liberty.
Today.
All the time and everywhere.
LibertyNation.com.